A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
Do you feel there's been a consistent theme with the interceptions?
I think every interception really has a different story.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to say.
You got f***ing grow, mother. Are you kidding me?
Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Hello, people, and welcome into another episode of the Gallant Says podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, you can listen to this bad boy. Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud. You can also watch and interact with the show, most importantly, live if you join on Twitch, twitch.tv/Gallant Says, or youtube.com/Paul Gallant. It is Thursday, December 1st of 2022. What's going on, Reflect the Sun? It's been a while. I apologize for that. You know how sporadic I can be with this. You also know how generally I miss the 1 o'clock window I'm trying to start the show at every single weekday. No excuse for it. Just know that we're trying. How many times are we going to say we're trying before you just give up on me altogether? I don't know. Tonight's going to feature a Thursday night football game. I will be watching every single second of it. And I imagine I will find myself just as pissed off as I was when the Patriots saw their season come to an end against the Buffalo Bills in last year's playoffs. Hopefully it just won't be that much of a bloodbath. I'm already thinking about my friend Steve, who is suddenly a Bills fan, even though none of us knew he was a Bills fan in college, which I guess is fine. You maybe want to hide that. It's a bit embarrassing, given the way the Patriots beat the shit out of them Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. But again, that's not where we live now. I can't be a Yankees fan living in the past. The reality is the Bills are better, and I'm not feeling great about tonight. So what am I going to do to get myself through tonight? You see me wearing my Pat Patriot shirt right now. I don't know. I mean, well, actually, I got something. This comes courtesy of an article in The Athletic. Let you take a gander here. The picture in picture. It comes from Jeff P. Howe. Talks about potential destinations for Tom Brady. And finally, maybe hold on to your phone with two hands for this one. Don't ever write off the Patriots. Brady and Bill Belichick still have an abundance of respect for one another. Well, that's nice. They've made points to say it publicly on multiple occasions since the QB departed for Tampa. They also spent 23 minutes together in the visiting locker room at Gillette Stadium following Brady's return in 2021, an appointment they set up prior to the game. The Patriots are slated to have more than $50 million in cap space in 2023 so they can address their flaws, this time on the heels of a couple of impressive draft classes. The issues? Not the egos, not the pride. For Brady, he'd have to know that the offense is in capable hands. Well, oh, fuck. Well, damn it. No. I want to keep reading this. I want to keep believing. And I will say, the offense hasn't looked that bad the last couple of weeks. Mac Jones has actually looked pretty good the last two games, for those who have watched. There have been criticisms of Matt Patricia's first season as a play caller. Plenty warranted, others exaggerated. Brady benefited by an abundance of stability with the offensive coordinator in New England. I really do want the Raiders to fire Josh McDaniels. Josh, just come back. He'll either need, continues the article, to be comfortable with Patricia or push for a reunion with someone like Bill O'Brien. I wasn't the biggest fan of Bill O'Brien in New England, and definitely the Houston experience has really soured me on him. The article continues. Currently the Alabama offensive coordinator to ensure he's not wasting a season as a 46-year-old. God, that's fucking crazy. He's 46 and potentially will still be in the NFL next year. Sure, Brady would return to run his offense, but he can also coordinate it. For the Patriots, they should want clarity on Brady's future. Is he going year to year? Do they need to fully guarantee a second season, something Belichick wouldn't do before Brady walked in 2020? Realistically, the Patriots wouldn't even need to trade Mac Jones. I don't know about that. Mac Jones doesn't seem to be handling the Bailey Zappi possibility well, whose rookie contract runs through 2024, plus the fifth-year option in 2025. Well, they certainly could, and as is the case with many starting quarterbacks, they'd start the trade conversation with the hope of recouping a first-round pick. There'd be loads of value in Jones learning from Brady. Again, you'd have to actually believe that he'd want to do that. I don't think he'd want to do that. I don't think any starting quarterback in the NFL would want a 46-year-old, even if it is the greatest of all time, to come into a situation. I would want to leave immediately. The only way you get better as an NFL player is by playing. It's not by sitting behind and watching another quarterback. What is Brady going to teach Jones? Brady was notoriously not a great teammate to Jimmy Garoppolo. He kind of froze him out, a little bit cold to him. He continues, maybe it's a long shot. There might be better situations for Brady. But just when you think you've got Belichick figured out, he does something no one sees coming. So it's a long shot, but this is all I got. This is all I have when it comes to tonight. I'm just going to read this article and stare at this article whenever Josh Allen scrambles on 3rd and 11 for 20 yards and runs over Devin McCourty. That's what I'm going to look at instead. Speaking of elderly people like Tom Brady, how many people are aware of what's been going on with Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones? This photo of Jerry Jones went viral the other day. If you're watching on twitch.tv/GallantSays or youtube.com/PaulGallant, you can see it. Joshua Clark Davis is the guy who tweeted it out. Wow. So Cowboys owner Jerry Jones was one of the bullies trying to stop his black classmates from desegregating Central High in Little Rock in 1957. I guess this was found courtesy of the Washington Post. If you zoom in, that looks like Jerry Jones in that circle. He's got the stereotypical 1960s, what is that, a fade? Is that a crew cut? I'm not 100% sure. But he's in the background of a photo where it looks like this guy with a cigarette in his mouth and this guy to his right who's got a grimace and looks like he's about to fart or he's holding in a poop. And the guy to his left who's got a shit-eating grin on his face. These guys look like assholes. Are they? Honestly, I don't know, but they are standing in the way of a couple of black students who appear to be entering the school. We'll find out that Joshua Clark Davis's tweet, the first tweet, the facts aren't necessarily correct. You see some cameras there as well. The next tweet, correction, this was at North Little Rock High School, a few miles from Central High, in the same month as the Little Rock 9 entered school. Jerry Jones has acknowledged it's him in the photo, writes Clark Davis, but hasn't apologized for it. I'm not at all surprised, I'm guessing he's meaning that in quotation marks, that a white person would do what Jones did. Okay. But it is surprising that it took this long for Jones to be identified in that photo. I don't think it's been made public before. Could be wrong. Jones admitted he was there in a 2010 oral history and described himself as mischievous and scared to death that day. So someone found this picture and thought, oh, we got a wow, gotcha moment. Look, I'm not going to make excuses for anybody back in the 1960s for how they might have felt about somebody who had a different color skin than them. It's embarrassing that this has been a part of our country's history for as long as it has been. I will say that generally, children are the product of their parents and teaching. It's not an excuse, but you hope that anybody, having been in a situation like that, would learn and get better for it. Again, not making any excuses for Jerry Jones here. Jerry Jones himself was asked about that photo from the Washington Post last week. I believe this was last Monday. Here is the owner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, that was, 65 years ago, and a curious kid. I didn't know at the time the monumental event, really, that was going on, and I'm sure glad that we're a long way from that. I am, and we just that would remind me just continue to do everything we can to not have those kinds of things happen.
Any regrets of just being in the photo, being there at all?
What?
Any regrets on being in the photo, being there at all?
Well, I wouldn't have just dug that up, for sure.
Right.
I mean, seriously. But that was curiously, I got criticized because I was more interested in how I was going to be punished by my coaches and everybody for being out front, but nobody there had any idea, frankly, what was going to take place. We didn't have all the last 70 years of reference and all the things that were going, and so.
So, I think some people are going to say he sounds like he's making excuses. I think they would be fair. I also think that you go back to it. That was 60 years ago. You would hope that Jerry Jones is a little bit better. Jones didn't look great when he was saying that any player who took a knee would never play for the Dallas Cowboys again. Back during the Colin Kaepernick saga of taking knees in the NFL. We'll get back to that in a moment. But I'd like to think that he's grown since then. Maybe I'm fucking wrong. I honestly don't know. I really don't. So now let's shift to how the conversation came back into the news today. We all know who LeBron James is. Plays for the Los Angeles Lakers. He wrapped up his interview with Los Angeles media earlier, I guess this was yesterday, like this video courtesy of Clarence Hill on Twitter.
I was wondering why I haven't gotten a question from you guys about the Jerry Jones photo. But when the Kyrie thing was going on, you guys were quick to ask us questions about that.
I'm going to pause for a second, and I'm going to sound condescending. I'm going to sound like I'm racism-splaining to LeBron James here. People aren't thinking to ask LeBron James about the biggest events or the biggest moments in America when they're going out to report on a sporting event. And by the way, they don't have to. If he has thoughts on it, he can share them himself. The reporters there, I'm not sure, where they're at, if they're playing the Mavericks or something like that, the Lakers, I'll be perfectly honest. But that is the furthest thing from the majority of people's minds when it comes to LeBron James sitting in front of a microphone. And I don't think that we should all act like LeBron James is some enlightened thinker when it comes to this stuff. He's not. I think he's very surface level when it comes to talking about some of the serious problems that we have in our country today. He'd probably take that as insulting. I would respond by saying, well, I mean, you generally say the most basic thing ever, but I suppose we could let him continue. Before we let him continue, I'll just say the reason that people asked him about Kyrie Irving is because he played with Kyrie Irving, and Kyrie Irving also plays basketball. Jerry Jones is an NFL figure, but okay, if LeBron wants to bring this up, let's see where he goes with this. Let's continue the video.
Okay. Hold on. And I don't even want you guys to say nothing.
Okay. Again, a pause. You asked why nobody has asked him about Jerry Jones. And then you say, hold on. I don't want you guys to say anything. Classic LeBron. Let's continue.
When I watch Kyrie talk and he says, I know who I am, but I want to keep the same energy when we're talking about my people and the things that we've been through. And that Jerry Jones photo is one of those moments that our people, black people, have been through in America.
I'll pause again one more time. Did LeBron go through that? Are there people that LeBron has spoken to perhaps over the course of his career that have gone through that? Yeah, no doubt. But did LeBron go through that? Because if LeBron went through that, that would be a reason to ask him about this. Maybe if someone has a thought on that picture of Jerry Jones, maybe we should be asking someone who played for the Dallas Cowboys back in the day. Off the top of my head, the famous wide receiver, Drew Pearson, Ed Too Tall Jones, two black Dallas Cowboys from back in the day. How do they feel about this? I think that would be a fair question. 100% for those two. Asking LeBron about a picture of something that took place back in the 1960s, that's just a picture, not a video, without any context. And again, I'm not making excuses for Jerry Jones here. I don't know what the fuck happened. LeBron doesn't know what the fuck happened. Why are we asking him about that? This feels like whataboutism. And that is just everyone's favorite thing these days. When someone brings up something that goes against their team or their belief system, they'll say, well, what about this? It's changing the subject, and generally it's never even related to the topic that's actually at hand. But I suppose we should let LeBron continue, so I will do that.
And I feel like, as a black man, as a black athlete, as someone with power and a platform.
Pause for a second again. You have power and a platform. What was up with the, why haven't you asked me about Jerry Jones? Hold on. I don't want to hear what you say. Anyway, continue.
When we do something wrong or something that people don't agree with, it's on every single tabloid, every single news coverage. It's on the bottom ticker. It's asked about every single day. But it seems like to me that the whole Jerry Jones situation photo, and I know it was years and years ago and we all make mistakes, I get it. But it seemed like it's just been buried under like, oh, it happened. Okay, we just move on. And I was just kind of disappointed that I haven't received that question from you guys. Appreciate it.
Again, there's a little bit of, hey guys, I'm Malcolm X. Hey guys, I'm Martin Luther King Jr. You're not this philosopher, LeBron. You're a basketball player. And while you're more than welcome to share your opinions on things, fuck off with that kind of elitist sense. How dare you not ask me about something like that? You know, that's at least how I feel about it. But whatever. Yeah, I guess he's right. I think that one of the reasons that the Jerry Jones story wasn't maybe a bigger deal is that it took place at the beginning of Thanksgiving week, and a lot of people are going off on vacation. I know for a fact that I did on that Monday, but that's a lame excuse too. So maybe we have to look at it from a different perspective. I think to generalize a story, though, that's about a photo that's 70 years old, and to say that we're not talking about it the same way that we talk about Kyrie Irving promoting something that was anti-Semitic, not apologizing for immediately, and not backing down. I don't see how the two are related. And to me, again, it's whataboutism here. Sure, he can bring it up, but he didn't have a take on it, because, by the way, there's nothing really to have a take on with Jerry Jones at this point in time. Now, I don't know, maybe people should have asked LeBron James about it because LeBron used to be a Cowboys fan. There is a article that I read that about a month ago in an Instagram live session. It's naturally on. Eagles fans are funny. They act like they don't care about the Cowboys. I had some Eagles fan tell me that. I was walking across the streets during the World Series. I was like, can you guys get to focusing on the Cowboys and stop pretending you care about baseball? And he got very mad at me. He's like, well, actually, the Giants are our rival. No, all that Eagles fans care about are the Cowboys. There's a NBCSports.com Philadelphia article about LeBron James explaining why he's no longer a Cowboys fan. Here's the write-up. In a recent Instagram live session with his friend and business partner, Maverick Carter, the Los Angeles Lakers and NBA superstar LeBron James revealed he's no longer a fan of the Dallas Cowboys due to the franchise's stance on players kneeling during the national anthem. Nah, man, I had to sit out the Cowboys, man. There's just a lot of things that were going on when guys were kneeling. Guys were having freedom of speech and wanting to do it in a very peaceful manner. The organization was like, if you do that around here, you will never play for this franchise again. I just didn't think that was appropriate. Maybe it wasn't. I personally was on the side of Colin Kaepernick for the act of kneeling itself. The before with the stupid post he had using a picture of a Houston Storm to say like 7 Orms coming. That was fucking stupid. And also I think some of the stuff that he did after the fact was more agitator behavior than it was, hey, I'm this deep thinker, Colin Kaepernick. The Pig Sox saw that shit. Okay, you don't like the cops. defending Fidel Castro. That's also fucking stupid. But I mean, Jerry did somewhat change his tune on that, right? But maybe this is why LeBron felt like everyone was going to ask him about it. Oh, I used to be a Cowboys fan. I don't know. I don't get why LeBron feels the need to be asked about everything in the world. And if he wants to be asked about everything, well, here's a little whataboutism for LeBron James. Twitch.tv/Gallant says, youtube.com/Paul Gallant. This is a headline from 1977. Biden said integrating black students would turn schools into a jungle, a racial jungle. I don't want my children to grow up in a racial jungle. Biden's controversial remarks on Friday morning where he told millions of black Americans across the country they ain't black. That comes, I think, a couple of years ago. So this was the headline that came along with it. Like, we could play whataboutism games all day long. LeBron was doing that with Jerry Jones, I guess, to defend Kyrie Irving. I'm not really 100% sure where he was going with that. Stone Jam 206 asks, OBJ thoughts. Let's see here. Did Odell Beckham Jr. sign with somebody? I will say that the Odell Beckham Jr. plane incident is pretty funny, where he, I guess, wouldn't put on his seatbelt because he was incapacitated in some way on an American Airlines flight that was going from Miami to Los Angeles. But I don't think that we have anything official about Odell Beckham Jr. I think he's supposed to go visit the Buffalo Bills tomorrow. Look, I don't think he's going to make that much of a difference down the stretch because it's going to be hard to pick up whatever offense he joins, but we will see. All right, so we were talking just a moment ago about Jerry Jones, about LeBron James, and eventually we showed you a picture of President Joe Biden. Well, from the former VP to a former MVP we go. What a transition. So, twitch.tv/Gallant says, or youtube.com/Paul Gallant. You can see this actual post itself. Castle will kill isn't feeling the Lamar Jackson era, and I can understand why after the Baltimore Ravens lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday. Who is Castle will kill? Some rando Ravens fan on Twitter. He said this: when someone is asking for over $250 million, guaranteed like Lamar Jackson, he tagged him. Games like this should not come to Justin Tucker. Let Lamar walk and spend that money on a well-rounded team. I don't hate the argument. I also didn't think that this is the kind of thing that would get Lamar Jackson pissed off. But Lamar Jackson got pissed off in a since-deleted tweet. You can see some of it right now, youtube.com/Paul Gallant, twitch.tv/Gallant says, boy, Stufu, which means shut the fuck up. Y'all be capping. For those who don't know, capping means lying. Too much on this app. MF, motherfucker. Never smelt a football field. Never did shit but eat dick. So you see that and you're thinking to yourself, oh, Lamar Jackson, what are you doing? It's dumb, uncreative, unfunny. You look butthurt. You look salty. It's a bad look. You're a starting quarterback. Who gives a fuck what this guy has to say? Who cares? You're still going to get paid during the offseason. Things have not been going ideally for you, but the Ravens would be crazy to let you walk. And if they do, somebody else is going to sign you to a massive contract and maybe give you a better offense than what Baltimore's been giving you over the course of your career. But then some articles came out. And he even got push notifications. Lamar Jackson deletes vulgar tweet. Lamar Jackson responds to social media posts that criticized his performance with a tweet that included an anti-gay phrase. To go back to this. Is eat dick anti-gay? Is eat dick homophobic? I don't think so. It's crass. You wouldn't say that to your mom. You probably wouldn't say that to a woman. But is that an anti-gay phrase? Jamison Hensley wrote the story about it, noted that it was an anti-gay phrase. Jackson tweeted back to him saying, "This is defamation of my character because not once have I ever mentioned or disrespected anyone's sexuality, sexual orientation, gender, religion, or race. You're reaching." We're talking about a phrase that has been said on The Sopranos a lot in its own way, but okay, fine. You know what? For the sake of being fair, let's go to Quora, because that's where you can ask any question and get it answered. On Quora, what is the appropriate context for the expletive, eat a bag of dicks, although Lamar Jackson told him to eat a singular dick? This is, I think, a pretty good response by Will Wister. Eat a bag of dicks is an insult meant to convey anger or otherwise express displeasure. It's meant to convey the idea of eating something that one would generally not want to eat. Another phrase that comes to mind is eat shit, for it too focuses on eating something undesirable and is a general insult. Another phrase that's semi-related is suck a dick or suck my dick, which when uttered towards heterosexual men, I'm reading this from Quora, guys, suggests an activity that's generally undesirable. It's another way to express displeasure by portraying an activity that is displeasurable. So that's what Quora is saying. I don't think that term is homophobic. I don't. And I'm not here to tell you that you should be reacting to Lamar Jackson saying, eat a dick the way that I am. Which is kind of like casually shrugging and saying, come on, man, don't look salty and butthurt online. But I do think we got to stop labeling everything as homophobic or everything as racist. Shouldn't we save our collective outrage for the truly fucked up stuff, like someone getting bullied because they're gay or things like that? Lamar said something dumb. This doesn't mean that he hates gay people or that he's homophobic. Got to draw a line somewhere, guys. If you watch The Sopranos, I mean, they said, not eat a dick, but they said cocksucker a lot, that's for sure. Well, what does that mean? I looked this up. Collins. There are two definitions of it. In British English, a very despicable person or a person who performs fellatio. And it started being said a lot more in 1969, I guess. I'm not 100% sure why. Well, let's read more about the history of the word cocksucker, because we're curious. Cocksucker, a compound word generally referring to a person who engages in fellatio. Vulgar, a term of disparagement used as an epithet to a person of disreputable character. The Oxford English Dictionary contains several pages devoted to the word cock and compound words related to it. In fact, the entire discussion spans most of pages 556 through 579. It does not, though, contain the word cocksucker. There are scholarly books that do trace the origins of vulgar words and expletives, writes this article. In any case, at the end of this article, the sexual association with some form of this name for a male chicken didn't arrive in the language until probably the early 18th century, although there are examples from 1549 where the word cocky was used to mean lecherous. Ooh. As for the activities associated with cocks, those two have nothing to do with sex and more to do with poultry. Okay, so this definition didn't help us out at all. Not one bit. It can be homophobic, I suppose, in certain ways. That word, cocksucker. Eat a dick, I don't see it. And I get that there is a general, perhaps, lack of machismo associated with somebody who would eat a dick, for lack of a better term. I get that. But, I mean, it's not only gay people that proverbially eat a dick, for one. And two, I understand the idea of, like, toxic masculinity being bad and it being looked down upon to go down on someone. I get all that. But there are worse terms when it comes to homophobia. I'd even argue the other F-bomb, which is a word I am actually nervous to say, even on this. The other F-bomb, there's a strong argument to be made, and a South Park episode made it, that word isn't necessarily homophobic. Obviously, hearing that's in the ear and in the feelings of the beholder, and I'm not telling somebody how to feel about something, but personally, I don't feel that eat a dick is homophobic. So, how do we transition from that? I don't know. Oh, well, yeah, I'm not going to try to with this one, but how many people saw this tweet the other day? The usual suspects are getting mad about it, and I feel like it's a waste of their time. I'm talking about those in the culture war, and specifically those leaning to the right. The NHL put out this tweet last week. The NHL is proud to support this week's Team Trans Draft Tournament in Middleton, Wisconsin. This was the first tournament comprised entirely of transgender and non-binary players with around 80 folks participating. Hashtag hockey is for everyone. Hashtag NHL pride. So on one hand, inclusion's great. Right? On the other hand, when a corporation is putting this out, it's hard to feel that this isn't just a blatant attempt at pandering online for cool points or something like that. Don't we see this during Gay Pride Month with every single corporation putting out rainbow flags and things like that? I imagine for those in the gay community, there are some that get annoyed by it. Some. I'm not saying all. But, okay, let's, for the sake of being nice, let's just read this tweet and move on. There was a follow-up tweet, and it reads as follows. After Blue Mountain 12 asks, so men playing on women's team? Doesn't answer that question. It says, trans women are women, trans men are men, non-binary identity is real. Saying it matter-of-factly like that is likely to rub a lot of people the wrong way. And I'm not here to get in this argument because I don't fucking care. I don't care. Fuck whoever you want. Be whatever you want to be. As long as I'm not paying for it, I don't care. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We're all supposed to be able to pursue that, right? That's what this country guarantees us. The one personal belief I have on stuff like this, personally, I'm of the belief that someone born a man would have a biological advantage over someone born a woman in sports. So if this was a professional league where there's jobs that are on the line, and say there's a professional women's hockey league, probably shouldn't happen where a person who is transitioning from man to woman, that person probably shouldn't be allowed to play because they would be taking jobs from women. And on top of that, they would have a biological advantage the majority of the time, the vast majority of the time. And I'm not talking about every single man in the world. There are some men who would be fucking terrible if they were to play a woman in sports. Every single sport. I'd go back to when I was in high school. There was a girl who played on our flag football team with Powder Puff, and she always wanted to be on our high school football team. And she would have been terrible on our team. She was a good player for a girl on that Powder Puff team, but she wasn't the best player. The best player on that team, actually, I think would have had a chance to play with us. She was a great athlete. But this girl, no, she didn't have a chance. She wanted to play, though. I respected her for wanting to play. I don't know what position she would have tried to play. I don't think it would have gone so well for her because men are bigger than women. Me at 5'11", 145 pounds. Yeah, I was bigger, faster, and stronger than this girl who I want to say is 5'4", 100 pounds. That's just the way it works. So if we're talking about competing two people that have different biological backgrounds that create their mass, their muscles, etc., if something like that takes place where this person is moving into a world where they have the physical advantage, it's an unfair advantage. So if I'm a woman playing in a women's hockey league, I guess I have a right to be pissed off. That said, those are the only people that really have a right to be pissed off about this. And that this consistently gets thrown into the middle of the culture war. I don't get why people give a fuck. Who cares? It's a fucking sport. inclusion is great. If we're talking about championships perhaps being lost because of somebody losing to somebody with a clear biological advantage, well, that sucks. That shouldn't happen. But I don't think this is something to get mad about. And people get mad about it in ways that I have just never understood. Anyway, that's going to wrap up today's edition of the Gallant Says podcast. I hope that you enjoyed it. We try to do this daily on weekdays at 1 o'clock Central Time, twitch.tv/Gallant Says, youtube.com/Paul Gallant. If you want to join the show as it goes live, but you can also subscribe to the podcast. Gallant Says is on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud. Leave a review, a rating, a roast. It means a great deal, as does your support. Saw a couple of people mention that I was in their top listens on Spotify. Honestly, that makes me feel very cool because I constantly feel like I'm just talking into a void. Thank you again so much for tuning in. So long. Farewell.